This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Well, Paul Mecurio is an Emmy and Peabody Award-winning comedian who currently works on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and appears regularly on that show. He's also worked on The Daily Show, The Colbert Report, specials on HBO and Comedy Central. Podcast Inside Out with Paul Mecurio has had such guests as Paul McCartney, and at this point I'm just going to go yada, 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 because it don't get any better than Paul McCartney. But he was here in February at Ram's Head on stage for a sold-out show, and as Chief Brody might say, you're going to need a bigger venue. So Paul will be back in Annapolis for one entirely different show on Saturday, November 23rd at Maryland Hall, which is a Ram's Head Presents show. Welcome back, and it's great to catch up again, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I really had a great time last time I was on, and I'm so glad to be back. I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing really well.
Good. Well, I'll tell you, the last time that we talked was back in February when you were coming into Annapolis, and we did cover the basics of Paul Mecurio, and I will encourage everyone to give that a listen. I'm going to link it right here. But for those that are listening that just want the Cliff Note version, Paul is a Georgetown law grad, was working on Wall Street and banking, wasn't happy, liked comedy, did a gig. There was a stabbing at the gig. He went to a meeting with a bloody white shirt, ran into Jay Leno at a corporate shindig, passed him a joke. Leno called. He thought it was a joke, and now it wasn't a joke. And comedy career was born. And the pinnacle of that career was when he ran into Paul McCartney in the hallway of The Late Show, shot a shot, and asked him to come on his podcast, and McCartney said yes.
Right, and I think I told you that story before, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
surreal. Yeah,
but now you're bringing a completely different show to Annapolis in Permission to Speak.
Yep. Yeah, it's different in the sense that it's more, we focus on stories and funny stories. I mean, it's still got my stand-up laced in it and my own crazy stories in life, which my stand-up is really more like stories anyway from my real life and just my crazy way of existence. Like my wife is like, stop getting in confrontations with people. And I'm like, I can't. I think I'm going to change the world by confronting people. And I get myself in more trouble. Like I got in an argument with my sister-in-law because I'm getting fed up with the gifts she gives me because she keeps giving me like lottery tickets as gifts, like for my birthday. And that's just like a $2 lottery ticket is pretty much saying like, I hate you. Here's a 1 in 400 million chance of actually getting a gift. You know what I mean? and then to add insult to injury, anybody listening relate to this, she put the tickets in a card, and the card was $8. The card was 4 times the value of the gift that she gave me. Okay. And so I get into these confrontations, but the stories that come out of the show, the premise of the show is we're nameless, faceless, we're disconnected, we're divisive. But if we get together in a room and share stories, we realize we have more in common than we think. We're all living kind of screwed up lives, and maybe we don't have to be so divisive. And it was born out of my stand-up, and I like to talk to audience members in my stand-up, and I was just getting these incredible stories. And Frank Oz, the great Frank Oz, who created the Muppets with Jim Henson and is the original Yoda, is my director, and he really fell in love with the show because he feels like he has a very commanding voice. Because we need a show like this now, Paul. We need a show. So I'm telling stories, and also audience members. I'm just talking to people in the audience and getting stories, and it's just been absolutely incredible. We're taking around the country, and like I had a woman. All I said to her is, "What's your name?" That's all I said. What's your name? She goes, Nydia. I said, Lydia. She goes, no, Nydia with an N. I go, that's an unusual name. How did you get that name? That's all I said. She goes, oh, she started laughing. I knew there was a story. She goes, my father got my mother pregnant with me, but at the same time was having an affair with a woman named Nydia, and he named me after the woman he was having an affair with.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. And everybody in the audience did that. They went, oh, Jesus. They started rocking back and forth. Oh, my God. And this is stuff you can't make up, because even if we made it up, if we were writers on a TV show, you'd be like, no one's going to believe that. And that's what's happening every night when I do the show. It's incredible, the stories.
Well, I mean, as you take this out on the road, I mean, I've got to imagine that it is very community centric. Okay. Because I mean, the one clip I heard was this guy, I'm presuming it was in New York. He said he bought a bowling alley. And, but I think that's not different. I mean, that's got to be so much different than what you're going to hear in Boston or in, Rhode Island or in Charleston.
Right, actually, yeah, totally. And that's why we did it. We were doing the show Broadway and off-Broadway in New York, and said, let's take it out and drop it into different cities around the country and towns, and, kind of drop into other people's worlds. And because in your community, you kind of all know what's going on and you know each other and you know businesses. So the bowling alley thing that you're referring to, and I think we have a clip of it, was actually in Chicago. And I've been to Chicago, but not a lot. And I just said to the guy, what do you do? And he says, the name of this bowling alley he owns. And it was like, and there's a woman who's on stage with us, because I bring a couple of people on stage.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got that clip right here. Here, let's listen to it real quick.
Yeah.
I own Diversity Rock and Roll. I was controller of a bank investment software company, left that job to buy the bowling alley for $2 with my friend Gary.
Well, you needed a friend because you didn't have $2?
Well, he still owes me $1.
Gary.
He still owes me $1.
Gary, I got a great deal, but I only have $1 on me. Come on, man. I can't. All right. Okay, let me call somebody else. Wait. And what is the strangest thing that's happened in the bowling alley that even you go like, oh, my God?
We had to stop a couple from on lane 36. Hey, you can't in here.
Did you wipe the table down?
I mean, that stuff is so real.
Yeah, it's just, and that's what's been so incredible about it, that it's really cliche, but it really is true that everybody has a story. If you're over the age of 6, you have a story. And I say in the show at the beginning, in explaining the show, like, some people want to tell a story, some people need to tell their story. And that's what people get to do. There's no judgment. It's just like we're hanging out in somebody's giant basement, having drinks and telling stories. And at the end, what's really cool is people are going up to each other and talking and introducing themselves because of what they heard on stage. So like this guy with the bowling alley, he was like the hit of the night because everybody knew his bowling alley but didn't know him, people going up to him. And so connections are happening, which is not happening in real life right now. We're sort of going at each other and sort of aggressive with each other and all of that. But like, there's not real connections happening. And that's what's happening in the show. And this just, in every show we do, it's like, can you believe that story? Like, I had a guy, he was in a bad mood. He was like a guy about 30. I go, what's going on? He goes, I just broke up with my girlfriend. I go, what happened? He goes, yeah, we got in an argument. I go, what happened? He goes, no, she just won't listen to me. I go, And I go, he goes, yeah. He goes, I told her not to shoplift at CVS. And I'm like, wait, stop. Did you just say at CVS? He goes, yeah, at CVS. What are you talking? Well, I taught her how to shoplift. Anyway, I go, no, wait, stop. Not anyway. Back up. Did you just say you taught your girlfriend how to shoplift? He goes, yeah. He goes, that's how I make money. I shoplift. I go, when did this start? He goes, I've been stealing stuff since I was like 11. Like, I would steal like bikes in my friend's neighborhood, and then and I'd steal them from my friends, and then I'd sell them back to them, or I'd beat them up. Now the audience is like losing their mind because this guy is not putting on an act, and he thinks this is normal. Like, that's the beauty of it. He's not. There's no self-awareness. He's like, so I go, what happened? He goes, well, she was nagging me because I shoplifted and I get nice stuff, and she wanted nice stuff. So I said, well, I'm not going to teach you how to shoplift because you're just going to be stupid about it, and you're going to waste it, and you're going to go to like stupid places like CVS. And what's the point of shoplifting at CVS? What are you going to get, like lipstick or something? You got to go to nice places. People's heads, John, are literally exploding in the audience. So it's like that movie where it's like, I will give you these powers, but you must use them for evil and not good, right? So end of story. I go, what happened? He goes, sure enough, I teach her because she wouldn't stop nagging me. What happens? I get a phone call. She's in the back of the squad car at CVS. She gets arrested for lipstick and a hand mirror. Right? I go, what happened? He goes, she wanted me to go down there. She goes, I'm not going to go down there. I go, you didn't go down there? He goes, well, she kept nagging me, so I eventually went down. I go, what happened? I broke up with her. I go, when? He goes, in the back of the squad car. He goes, I don't need this aggravation. And the place goes crazy. And so,
he's got a point, though. If you're going to lift, man, do it at Bergdorf.
That's exactly, he said Bergdorf's, he said Saks, he goes, that's where he goes, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, right? And then I said, look, you've done drugs in your day. He goes, yeah, I think crystal meth. I go, what happened? He goes, didn't have really any effect on me. I go, yeah, I could see that.
Not a bit. Not a bit. Shit.
So it's been this like great ride, and I'm doing stand-up just so people know, like, I'm telling my own stories and my own life, like I'm Italian, right? And I got I got this crazy family, like, and it's stereotypical in some ways, and in other ways it's not. Like my cousin Bobby, like he dresses like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. Still to this day, he's got the big coif of hair, and he's always going to make $1 million the easy way. He's one of those guys.
Shit, John Travolta doesn't even have that big coif of hair anymore.
Exactly, John. He's shaved it. Not my cousin though. And he's got tight white pants, and he's got a cigarette, and he's on the street corner like, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing?" And the legs are always moving, like he's got a live snake in his pants. You know, how you doing? How you doing? Right? And so. And he's always got a scam. He's always got an angle. Like recently, he was selling out of the trunk of his car. He was selling suits, ratchets, and car alarms. I'm not making this up. Car alarms that he stole out of other people's cars. Okay, and when you say to him, "Bobby, don't you know the fact he stole this alarm? It's not very good." He goes, "Hey, what are you talking about? It just doesn't have the box. Here, give me $20, right?" So, my father passes away. We have this open casket, you know, traditional funeral, and we wait there, and I'm standing by the casket. You know, people come in blues and grays, and there's the receiving line, and people are coming, and coming at me is this orange dot, and it's my cousin Bobby. This is how he came dressed to my father's funeral: a fluorescent orange silk shirt, unbuttoned gold chains, white patent leather belt, white slacks, like a creamsicle with chest hair, okay? And then white mesh loafers. No socks because it was the summer, but you got to put powder on your feet to keep them dry. But he's such a Guido. He put too much powder, so every time he'd step toward the casket, puffs of white smoke were coming out of the tops of his shoes.
He's just electing a new pope, man.
Exactly.
Cut him a break.
So we're getting so everybody's got these stories. Like we had this guy. His name was Travis, and he had polio. And I think we have a clip of this guy. He's just so fantastic. And I just asked him, like, how do you explain polio to your young kid? He had a young kid at the time, whatever. And
well, I'll tell you, hang on, I got that one too. That's another one that was really funny. Hang on a second. We'll listen to that one.
Travis,
how are you? What do we got here? What's the issue?
polio. I would tell the kids, "Hey, I'm from Vietnam. That's how I got hurt." They were like, "Really? You were in Vietnam?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it was a joke, but my daughter's 18 now. And a few months ago, she was like, "Daddy, were you really in Vietnam?" I was like, "Oh, I forgot I told that." And you were like, I told everybody that. You were like, I never fixed it.
Which one among us has never lied to their kids?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like a whole other level of lying. And there was another one where everybody went up to him after the show, wanted to meet him, told him what a great story it was. And you know, who thinks of Vietnam? Like, if we were writers on a TV show, we wouldn't think of that. Like, okay, let's say the guy lies and said he got injured in Vietnam. And then I like that the other kids are like kids of kids, and they were calling him like Robo-Dad because he had metal crutches. Like, it was so. And you know what's really cool? People are really good storytellers, even if they don't do it for a living. Like, you know, if you're comfortable around people, you'll tell good stories and know how to deliver like the funny line in the story and everything. And so and we got a really cool set, by the way, designed by the set designer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where I work. And we have, we're doing animation and what they call digital mapping in this really cool screen that we created. And the animation's done by JJ Sedelmeier, who did Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, wow. So yeah, this is a really big deal. Full-blown production.
Hey, you know, I'm a big deal. What can I tell you? You know what I'm saying, John? I'm a big shot.
You know, hey, you know, you're my Paul McCartney, man. Okay.
Hey, John, how you doing, man?
That's ain't Paul Mecurio. I'm going to hang up, man.
Yeah, so it's a full-blown, like, theater show, but it's really fun with really fun jokes and stories, and people are going to walk away going, wow, I can't believe these stories I heard, and then tell them to their friends and be repeating them. Because I've had people come up to me and say, 3 weeks later, I'm still telling that story that I heard at your show, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. No, one question. I mean, people to do this, you've got to be pretty vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there, okay? I mean, there's the guy, man, you know, I shoplift.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. But I don't think they look at it that way. I think they actually see it like, oh, this is cool. I get to talk about myself. You know, I get to say something, you know? And so I feel like it's more that. Like, I've had a lot of people say to me, oh, that was really cool. I always wanted to tell that story and I never told it or never got to tell it that way. And so I'm not, and look, it happens rarely, but if somebody doesn't want to say and doesn't have anything to say, they don't have to. It's not like anybody's being forced, because I'm weaving stuff in and out of my own act and show
Sure.
with their stories. And because, Frank, my director, thought it was important that I put myself in there too and reveal who I am, so that it mixes in with what other people are saying. But I don't find people feel at all intimidated or anything like that. It's definitely freeing for them, I think.
It's so funny because when I go to a comedy show, before I go in, I always pray to the comedy gods for them not to pick on me. Okay, so I grab the back seat and sort of hide behind the curtain and laugh my ass off. But you've got to make people feel safe. I mean, how do you get people up on stage?
We basically we tase them and knock them out, and then drag them up by the feet, and then they wake up, and then we know.
Very cool. I got some spare roofies if you need them. If the tasers don't work.
We have zip ties. There's this guy dressed as black ops operatives. There's a whole thing. We just I just randomly just say, hey, you got a story, and they usually always say yeah, and that's it. I mean, it's no pre-screening or whatever, and I think they know, like, I'm not picking on them, you know what I mean? It's not like a Rickles thing where I'm like, or a crowd work thing where you're a comic and you're sort of talking to somebody to make fun of their hat. I just start talking to them like, you're married, how did you meet your husband, blah, 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 or, you seem annoyed, and then, just stuff comes from it, like, no one ever feels like there's no judgments. It's not, you can say whatever you want. You don't have to worry about political correctness. It's like, and nobody ever crosses a line though either in terms of being politically incorrect. It's just this like, yeah, sure, I got a story, and then afterwards I always have people going through, I wish you should call on me. I had a story. I wish it like they're like little kids.
It's like me in the back. Shit, I wish you would have gone.
Yeah, exactly, and so there's that sort of part of it too, and then sometimes people will say things that are just like totally blow you away. Like, I've had gay people on stage, and I'm always fascinated how hard it must be to keep that when you don't come out initially or early on. And I think we have a clip of this of a guy I asked about what it was like coming out to his parents.
Yeah.
I was a pretty gay little boy.
How did you react when he told you?
The first thing she said was, "Why are you telling me at 10:30 at night?"
And that, it's funny. That's, I know several people that have come out, and that's pretty much the reaction. It's like there's a non-reaction. So why 10:30 at night? Why?
Right.
Tell me something I don't know.
That's exactly right. Right. Like, I think the mother's really saying, I'm your mother. No one knows you better in this. I've known you're gay since you were 2. Okay. We were giving you trucks and you were playing with Barbie or whatever. Right. Like, I got a meeting at 10:30. Can we talk about this later, please? Like, that's how people talk in real life. Now, I don't think that would get written in a movie. Right. Because in a movie, you'd have to write it like dramatic. Oh, my God, we're here for you and whatever. But that a lot of times movies are movies. They're not. Or TV shows, they don't, and that's what's cool about this. It's like, this is how people really live their life. I joke about like that I'm confrontational, but it's not a joke. It's my nature. There's something about me. And so I lean into those stories, right? I lean into the fact that I almost got arrested on Amtrak because the guy was being rude to me. And I said, don't talk to me that way, because he yelled at me for having my bag on the seat next to me. And then the next thing I know, I go, well, I'm not moving my bag. And then we got in an argument, and he goes, and I went to hand him my ticket, and he goes, I'm not taking your ticket. And then I'm having you arrested. And we pulled into the Newark, New Jersey train station, and there were 4 cops on the platform, and he called the cops on me.
Man, nobody wants to get arrested in Newark.
No, exactly.
Oh, man.
So we end up with the cops, and the cops say to me, what's going on? What's the problem? And the conductor goes, I don't like this guy. He's very argumentative. He's being very confrontational, argumentative. I want him thrown off the train. And the cop looks at him and he goes, you want me to arrest him for that? Arguing? If I did that, I'd be arresting my wife every 5 minutes. Get back on the train.
That's struggle. Yeah. Are there any topics that are off limits or that really make you worry when you get like,
No. I've had two heroin addicts on stage, one recovering and one not recovering, talking about what it's like to be on heroin. And one said, I don't want to get off heroin. I like it too much. And the other was said, I'm off of it. It's like, no, we don't talk politics, but it's only come up in all the shows I done. One comment about politics came up and I just squashed and said, we don't talk politics. That's the only thing we don't do, because it's just, you can't, nobody has a sense of humor about it. There's nothing off limits. And people are revealing, like some of the stories can be like just kind of straight up kind of heartfelt, and a lot of them are just batshit crazy funny, and like, did that just happen? Did he just say that? So it's just a mix of stuff. But no, there's nothing off limits. You could come on stage. You would be great. Come on stage.
No, man, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Although if I did, my story would be funny about my kids when I got divorced. My ex-wife and I were like all worried about how they were going to take it and the whole 9 yards. We planned this special lunch out, and we were like, we both still love you, and we're going to have separate homes, but you guys are going to be at both, and we're going to see both all the time, and we're all going to go to your, little games and all that kind of stuff. And we're trying to read them. And my son looks up and says, "What's taking the pizza so long to get here?" I mean, they had no qualms about it whatsoever.
It's like, I'm hungry. Can we deal with this later, please? And then I'm going to be late for baseball practice. So you guys should work out your life problems. Yeah, but that's how people talk in real life, isn't it?
It really is. Putting the success of your show in every city that you go to. I mean, you were, in New York, and you've been on the road and everything else, in the hands of your audience to a large degree. I mean, you could always morph it into a stand-up, but that's not what the show is. But I mean, does that frighten you as a performer?
No, I'm a little weird. I got to be honest with you. I like it. I like that there's just an unknown quality to it. Like, I've always had trouble just going up and doing my stand-up act and being like really safe with it or anything like that. Like, I've got like this thing about, I don't know, maybe I'm a masochist or something. I don't know. But I think there's an exciting, like, you don't know what's going to happen next part of this whole thing that I really love, that like really gets me excited. And so I always trust they never let me down, because they always have a story. They always have like something, And
that's fantastic, because I've often heard that George Carlin was completely 100% scripted. And I mean, it was down to the minute, and he knew that, if he was paid to pay, an hour and a half, it was 90 minutes and he was out the door. You're not. So, you see a Carlin show, you're going to see the same show, boom, 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 boom. Not with permission to speak in Paul Mecurio. Tonight's show, if you were here for 2 nights, is going to be completely different from tomorrow night's show. And different from the New York one. And
and it's going to be, so we're going to be in Annapolis, right? And people are going to know each other from Annapolis. Like, I was at Ram's Head and I was talking to audience members, and a couple of people ended up knowing each other and went out for drinks after meeting after my show. They were both members of the same club, like a sailing club, but they kind of didn't really know each other. And one of them I started talking to, and so the other guy went up to him, and they ended up, and then they planned to go sailing together the following week. So like, I'm bringing people together, John. I'm like I'm a peacemaker in the world. No, I'm just kidding. What the thing though is, like, kids come up a lot, raising kids, and you talked about your kids. And so we all have like perspectives on that, right? And so it's nice to hear different people's perspectives. Like I get tired of like this. We live in a society where you're supposed to say, you're supposed to say the right thing all the time, right? Like, kids is the best thing. Having kids is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I can't stand that, because it's not true. And everybody who's a parent knows that, because there are some days you wish your kid would walk into the woods and never come back. There are. I'm sorry. Okay. Like my kid, I remember there was this one time, he was like 7, and he had a baseball tournament, and it was a 3-day tournament out of state. And my wife's like, you should go. It would be like a father-son bonding weekend. And I went. And at the end of the weekend, it hit me. I don't really care for the kid.
Can we send him back?
Yes, exactly. Right. Hey, anybody listening, you know what I'm talking about. You love them, but they're like, it's just because, first of all, you take a kid out on a trip like that, you're in a hotel. Kids love hotels, right? What do they do in a hotel? They're in the pool. They're in the pool. They're out of the pool. They're in the pool. They're out of the pool. Look, make a decision. You're either in the pool or out of the pool. Stick with it, okay? Then he wants like a grilled cheese sandwich. Okay, it's $16 for a grilled cheese sandwich with like the shriveled up pickle and no French fries. Then they burn one corner of it, and the little baby can't eat it because it's got a little burn mark. So I got to get another grilled cheese sandwich. I'm $32 in the bread and cheese. I got nothing to show for it. Okay, let's remember this, everybody. It's our weekend too, as the parents, right? It's my Saturday night. I want to go to a strip club, and he starts complaining. Daddy, the lady on the pole scares me. This Jack Daniels is burning my throat. Come on.
Man up.
Man up. But in the show, you can just say stuff like that, and people can be honest about, like, you know, some kids can be a pain, and you wish you didn't have them sometimes. And so I'm finding it's a breath of fresh air for people too. I imagine it is. I am so looking forward to seeing this. And again, this is at Maryland Hall on the 23rd, okay? There are some tickets still available. You can get them at ramsheadonstage.com because they're bringing the show here, or you can go to marylandhall.org. But this is going to be a Saturday night that you're not going to forget anytime soon. And I know I've got my tickets. I'm trying to get a couple more friends to come with me. And, you know, Paul, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And again, Paul Mecurio's Permission to Speak, Maryland Hall, Saturday the 23rd. I expect to see tons of people I know, and you can bleed all your hearts out, and I'll sit in the back behind the curtain and laugh at y'all. No, I'm gonna turn the lights on, and I'm gonna call your name out, and then I'm gonna have everybody chant John, 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 and make you come on stage. Yeah, that's why I go by a false name when I'm Rebecca. I know your pseudonym. It's Rebecca. Yeah, I think what I'm really proud of is it's really funny. There's jokes, there's really funny stories, but it also is kind of doing a second thing, which is connecting people at a weird time without you talking politics. And it's a kind of cool hang. And then you walk away going, literally people will go, I can't believe some of the stories I heard. I can't believe that guy did that or said that, or this woman's like whatever. And that's what's really cool about it. And I think it's good that we kind of get out of our own silos sometimes and see how other people live their lives, like, oh, that person shoplifts. That's okay for a living. I wouldn't do that, but now I guess I understand it now. So yeah, it's really cool. And please come. And yeah, I hope everybody can get some tickets. There's still a few left, not many. Yep. And I'd love to have everybody come out. It'd be awesome. And I think that, again, I know you don't do politics, but I mean, we're coming off of an election. It was a controversial election. We can all use a night of laughter. After totally. the last 4 years of and fighting with each other. Like, it's like hard. Like if you're on the right and somebody's on the left, they're not going to change each other's mind politically. But I think if you start to see that, wait, that guy that I think is the devil because he doesn't believe in what I believe in is actually the same kind of human being I am. He has a dog that craps on the rug. I have a dog that craps on the rug. I have a sister-in-law that only gives me lottery tickets. He has a sister-in-law that only gives me lottery tickets. You start to go, oh, well, maybe I'll listen to his politics because he's actually like a human being and not just this devil that I've been told he should be, right? So, and if that's happening, great. If it's not, I'm not there. I don't preach. I'm not there. But yeah, I do think that the nice thing about this is people can escape the politics talk because we don't do that. We're just telling crazy stories, fun stories, and all that. So yeah, it'd be great. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, Paul, when you get on the train from New York down here to Annapolis, do not give the conductor shit because we do want to see Permission to Speak when you come in on the 23rd. So just keep your mouth shut and put your bag on the floor. I'm warning everybody. I'm putting my bag on the seat next to me because I don't want anybody sitting next to me, John. I don't want to chit chat anymore. I can't make small talk. I don't care that your son just won the chess championship in his 8th grade. I'm going to blow my brains out. I can't do it. I don't have it. All right. Well, I cannot wait for the 23rd. Again, safe travels down here. And thanks so much for catching up with us again today. And I can't wait. Thank you. Always fun. Thanks, John. This has been a bonus podcast from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.